Let's give our takeaways from last night's Spurs-Bucks game. Spurs lost, by the way. And then ask if the Spurs are going to be active at the trade deadline.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from Cybertron Springs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope everybody is having a great work week. The holidays are right around the corner, so happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. We're glad that you're back here at Locked On Spurs, your first and only stop for all things San Antonio Spurs right here on Locked On Spurs. And as always, we thank you for making it your first listen each and every day. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Go to gametime.co right now, or just go to your favorite app store, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. What are we talking about today? I'm going to give you my takeaways from last night's Spurs-Bucks game. They did lose, but moral victories, so brace yourself. Can't wait for those comments. Moral victory, Jeff. Well, guess what? That's all we can hang on our hat right now this season. We're going to have our guest, Tom Petrini, my colleague at Ken's 5. We're going to be asking if the Spurs should be active at the trade deadline. Then he's going to get on the therapy couch and get off some things, to blow off some steam that he's been building up about the Spurs or the Spurs fan base. And he's going to have a special guest join him in just a few minutes. But about last night. Without Victor Wembanyama, he was out for last night's game versus Milwaukee. The Spurs already were going to have issues. It probably was not going to result in a W going to Milwaukee and trying to beat them in their floor. So you already knew the outcome before it even began. So let's go to start with the first takeaway, and that is the first quarter. What a disaster. 44 points scored by the Bucks. I mean, they just put the Spurs on the mat after that first period. So right off the bat, did not like their energy to start the game. They looked shell-shocked. They looked like they were going to be dead in the water, and that it was going to be a long night for Spurs fans, and, just throw in the towel at the end of the first. I really thought it was going to be that way. But, again, poor starts. Rinse, repeat. Poor starts. So that's the first takeaway. But I move quickly to the second takeaway because I was actually pretty surprised. Yes, surprise is my second takeaway. Your Spurs actually bounced back from getting popped in the mouth after the first period. Look, I know it resulted in an L for your Spurs. By the way, they did lose the game 132-119. But, they made it interesting. They went up to a team that likely has NBA title dreams. They're making a big push. That Bucks were at full power. Dame Dollar, Damian Lillard was playing. Giannis was playing. Everybody was playing. So the Spurs actually took it to the Bucks, made things interesting. The Bucks, yes, they did take their foot off the gas pedal because they could have mopped the floor with the Spurs all night. But even when they did, I am glad that the Spurs pounced on that. They took advantage of that, and they made it a game. They shot horribly from the first quarter. I mean, just bad. But then they actually were out shooting the Bucks at halftime. They were scoring more points in the paint at halftime than the Bucks. So they made things interesting. That was a really nice sight for all our Spurs fans' sore eyes for this season. So kudos to the Spurs. Again, I know it's an L, and I know no such thing as moral victories. They still lost, but the point is progress. You're making progress. They didn't lay down and die. So kudos on the Spurs for doing exactly that, not laying down and dying. And the last takeaway, kudos to Keldon Johnson. Again, without Wemby, the Spurs needed somebody to pick up the slack, and that went to KJ. KJ looked like that guy that they put front and center pre-Wemby era and really just gave an all-out effort for the Spurs and really was helping San Antonio get the game close as possible. He finished with 28 points, 10 rebounds in 35 minutes. Really was just sacrificing his body, attacking the rim, getting hard fouls, and making things interesting. He led the team in this comeback, somewhat of a comeback game versus the Bucks. But all in all, yeah, you got to tip your cap to Keldon. And that's my last takeaway. But again, I get it. A moral victory, no such thing. It's an L. Doesn't matter what these takeaways are. But Geez, I really thought this Spurs team was going to lay down and die after that first period. I thought, well, some fans were predicting a 50-point beatdown, and it almost happened, but the Spurs fought back. So kudos on them. They'll next play the Chicago Bulls Thursday night. Good news is the Bulls will be playing the second game of back-to-back. Maybe that'll be beneficial for the Spurs, and also Wemby should be back. So, yeah, hopefully this person get a win, number 5, in just a few days. When we get back, we're going to bring our guest, Tom Petrini, my colleague at Ken's 5. We're going to go over the topic of whether or not the Spurs should be active at the trade deadline. And then we're going to put him on the therapy couch. He's going to have a special guest with him, too. So look forward to that in just a few seconds. But before we bring in our guest, I want to talk about eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. So whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit your roster. So let's see who Josh picked for us at this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. And lo and behold, he has a Spur on the list. Yes, he's advocating, pushing that you look at Malachi Branham. Go figure. We're going to be talking about him next. He says that he seems to be a starter for the Spurs in the short term, at least, and he's flashed some increased passing skills, increasing his fantasy viability. Yeah, getting those minutes on the court with a starting unit is going to bump up his numbers. So again, he is picking Malachi Branham for this week's eBay's Motors Fantasy Picks of the Week. That's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. So he has Malachi. Go get him. Look, Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. Look, do you have any personal experience trying to buy a part for your car? You've been having some tough going about it, looking for it. What about your dream ride? Do you have your dream ride? Do you think it needs some fine tuning, some extra parts, maybe upgrades? What about that car that you loved? You want to get it back? You want to just go to buy one and then look for the parts for it? So look, if you want to keep your car running, you want to fix your car up, or you want that cool upgrade that you've really been wanting, you want to go to eBay Motors right now. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. They got brake kits, LED lights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're going to be burning rubber, not all that cash. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit only is available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is Emily Swallow, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with our guest, Tom Petrini, my colleague at Ken's 5, San Antonio. He is a writer for the digital side of things. He's on my site too. And we're here to talk about all things Spurs. Follow him on X at Real Tom Petrini. He's in the Christmas mood. Would you consider that the ugly sweater, Christmas sweater? Is that?
Yeah, sure. I have a Wu-Tang one that honestly, but that's in the wash. I've gone to my share of holiday parties this season. Merry Christmas to all. Happy holidays, everybody.
And by the way, everybody, if we're lucky enough, we might have some special guests later on the show joining Tom on the therapy couch. We might. Hopefully we do. I know who it is. So everybody stand by for that. But Tom and I, we're going to discuss your San Antonio Spurs. And as the season moves on, guess what's looming? The NBA trade deadline. I don't have to tell everybody, you all know they got a war chest of cash and picks and player, but we know all that. Yay. But should they be active? Should this team start getting the gears going, getting ready for the upcoming deadline and make some moves this season? Now, Tom, we're going to ask you, you are the guest. Where do you feel? What do you think this team should do, considering their record? They got Wemby on board, getting out of the rebuild. Are you pro be active, or where do you stand?
So I'm in a place right now where I'm not expecting huge moves. I'm not expecting them to go out and get, Laurie Markkinen or like Donovan
Trae
Mitchell
Young or something,
these big names that you see people say might be available. I don't think it's going to be something like that. I do, however, think that they're going to be more active and active in a different way than they've been at trade deadlines and other big trading periods in the last several years. What I mean by that is, and I've seen fans say, "Oh, all Brian Wright knows how to do is make trades that make the team worse." Like, okay, yeah, that's what he's done, but he did it in a period of time where it made sense to make the team worse. And the sum total of all of those trades, in addition to all of the draft picks acquired, is that they were bad enough to get Victor Wembanyama. And now he is the cornerstone that you build around. They have all of those assets, though. And if they trade for a player who will help this team win games, it doesn't have to necessarily be, they're going all in on a play and push this year. Like you're building for the future long term. And especially when you have guys on the team like, Devontae Graham, like Doug McDermott, who have movable contracts, expiring money, and draft picks. It wouldn't surprise me if they went out and looked for some more affordable, reasonable veteran guard depth help. A name I saw out there as possibly available is Jordan Clarkson. But, I think we're definitely going to see a little bit of a shift, whether it's at this trade deadline, perhaps more aggressive in the offseason. The shift in direction has happened, right? The Spurs have been on sort of this 5-year long path down to the bottom, and then they got down here and they got Wemby, and it's not going to immediately go back up here. It's about how do you build around him and get to where you want to go. So I think that people who want to see a rush toward, we need to go get big name guys, we need to surround him with Trae Young or whoever. Like, I don't think that's going to happen right now. But I do think that the Spurs are going to try to work in the margins and go for adding a little bit of talent and a little, especially experience. I think that's maybe the most important thing that they can add at the trade deadline. Whereas in years past, veteran guy, expiring contract. All right, let's flip him, get some second round picks or a first if we can, and keep it moving.
Yeah, I expect the Spurs name to be thrown out in all the trade rumors coming up to that because of what they have, on deck, the money and the flippable players and the draft picks. So yeah, by the way, everybody expect a lot of reports like the Spurs are interested. Oh, we're hearing the Spurs. That's probably going to be a lot of that stuff. But personally, I don't think they're going to be aggressive. I don't think they're going to be as active. I think they're going to wait it out. For all intents and purposes, the season's done. It's cooked. It's over. All the media goal right now is just getting Wemby accustomed to the league and looking at the roster to see who fits with Wemby moving forward. And I think in the offseason is where they'll be heavily active. Sure. I mean, will you may perhaps accommodate a Devontae Graham who's saying, hey, I'm buried at the bench. Can you just wait? Probably Doug, as they mentioned, Osman. But as far as a major home run hit, I'm with you. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to be as active. I think they just want to keep on developing this core of Wemby, Devin, and Sohan, maybe Keldon. We don't know what his future may be. But I think that's what this season is going to be about. Basically, Tom, I just think it's last year, rinse, repeat, just development.
I think, but also, I mean, it's not like I didn't have optimism about this team, or I wasn't sure, and then I headed into media day and they said all this stuff, and I was like, well, I guess they're gonna go for it. Like I think the people that have been around this team had reason to hope that this season would be not quite as bad.
And then on the show that you hosted for Ken's 5 with myself and Vinny and Nate and you all of us were in agreement, like, no way they're going to be a 22-win season. So nobody expected this.
We saw the over-under from Vegas, and it was kind of like, really?
Just do it. But, and as much as they're experimenting right now, but as far, as looking at this trade deadline, oh, man, no, I don't think they're going to do some sort of blockbuster move. And unless Tom, you might know, I don't see a big splashy name in this upcoming draft that, this is a game changer guy like a Wemby or last year a Banchero, something like that. I don't see that, but unless the Spurs know there's somebody out there that's going to be landing in the top 5, top 10, then kudos on them for their scouting. But I don't really see a reason why, they should just do a massive overhaul by making a big swing at the trade deadline. And it's almost like hitting restart on the restart on the restart. That's what it feels like.
I feel that. And I'll just go back to the word I started with, which is opportunistic. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Spurs are going into the trade deadline thinking, we have to get this guy. If we, and whoever they do get, if they get somebody, it'll be because the price was right. They want it out. And they fit with the long-term timeline goal vision.
Right.
It's the kind of thing where if somebody they really want comes available and they're like, what would it take to get this done? And what position would that put us in? Because it's not about winning a few more games this year. It's about how do we set this team up for long-term success. And I think if they see an opportunity to do that, they're going to be interested. Because that's the task with this team now, is build a contender around Victor Wembanyama as quickly as possible, but also as sustainably as possible. You want to balance those two things, right?
Yeah,
you don't want to just
it
blow
feels like
it all out of the gate.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be a slow cook in San Antonio as far as this rebuild. Look, I forgot who, I think it was Mo Wagner of the Magic during a press conference, even flat out said it. Hey, it took 2 to 3 years for us to get to this point where they are now. So perhaps that's the plan. The Spurs are going to, look at, if you're going to look at a blueprint, maybe it's the Magic blueprint right now. Look what they won the draft lottery. They got a Banchero. They got a Wagner. They brought in some. You see this pattern. We're seeing the pattern throughout the NBA. Same thing with, I hate to bring it up, the Rockets. Young talent. They bring in veterans. Yeah.
I asked Spurs fans this after the most recent shellacking. And ugly game, ugly season. I get it, guys. But if you look at the next 15 years of NBA basketball, which team do you think is better positioned to have success in those 15 years? And a lot of people said nobody. And the teams that people did throw out, it was like, okay, Boston, Denver, Milwaukee. All right, so like MVP caliber leaders, championships already, in their prime. Get that. And then the other teams that people mentioned on the other side of it are, Thunder, Magic. And those are teams that have, I mean, they were really, 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 really bad a couple of years ago, and now they're talented and fun to watch. And it's almost like the progression of time helps young teams and rebuilding teams rebuild. It's almost like they need the time to do that. I certainly thought that the support around Victor was better than a lot of top rookies.
I agree with you right there.
I certainly thought that this team would be winning more games. But just because I was a little off on that prediction doesn't mean that the path to success and dynastic success for this team is any less clear. It's very clear. It's been clear since that night in May when they bounced the ping pong balls and said Victor Wembanyama is going to San Antonio. You develop him, you let him develop into an MVP caliber player, build around him.
Yeah, and whether they're going to build around him at the trade deadline or wait to the offseason or extend this out, we definitely shall see. I know a lot of Spurs fans will be glued to their cell phones and TV and internet and X and all that stuff to see what the latest is from your Spurs. But what do you think? You think the Spurs will be active at the trade deadline? Let us know. You can let Tom know on X at Real Tom Petrini. Let me know on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Just go there and leave a comment. When we get back, we're going to put Tom on the therapy couch. He looks like he needs to just let some stuff out about the silver and black. He might even have a guest with him. We'll find out in just a few minutes. That is up next right here on Locked On Spurs.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
But before we continue with Tom, I want to talk to you about Game Time. You want to go to gametime.co right now. You need last-minute tickets? Game Time. You're looking for flash deals, zone deals? Go to Game Time. You want to have the easiest way to buy tickets for sports, concerts, theaters, whatever you need in your area, and you need a ticket to it? You want to go to Game Time right now. Lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. They have it all over at Game Time. You can get all-in prices, so you know your total up front. You know you're getting a great deal without hitting fees. You can buy tickets in seconds in just 2 taps. I've used it recently. Let me tell you right now, it was a very easy process. All I did was just find the event, put in the date, and I was good to go. And guess what? No hassles at all. So those zone deals I mentioned, so basically what you do is you pick the section, and then Game Time will pick the seats. That gives you about an 18% savings right there. So what better way to get your tickets than going to Game Time right now? And if you find a price that beats Game Time in the same section or row for less, Game Time will give you 110% of the difference credit right then and there. So download the Game Time app right now. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That is Game Time. Go there right now. Create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I also want to talk to you about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. That's in the San Antonio area, 281-1604. So if you're near that area or you just want to have a drive, go to Mudslingers right now. They have the best coffee selection, the best drink selection in San Antonio. They have the OG, which is the Orange Julius, recreated only at Mudslingers. They have the Sub-Zero. Look, Frank Harris, UTSA's very own. This is it. He's sailing off. What better way to honor him than going to get the Sub-Zero drink named after him? They got the Alien. You should know what that's about. That's Victor Wembanyama. They have it all there. They have the Red Line Infused Lightning Bolt series. That'll get your day going. Also, they have mini donuts. So they're not just about drinks. They got little bites, little treats for you to have only at Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if it's your first time going into the coffee world, I suggest you get the Mudslinger. That is their signature drink. Again, friendly staff, great menu. They're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member of San Antonio, helping San Antonio as best they can. And they're all about the fans. You chat with them on social media. You even propose to them a drink that you have just building in your brain. They'll do it for you, and they will name it after you. So go follow them on social media on X, Instagram, Facebook. Pick a platform. TikTok, they're there. So go there right now. Follow them on any social media platform at Mudslinger, SATX. That's all one word. Go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee today, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Again, everybody, mudslingers. Why? Because life is too short for bland coffee.
Hey everybody, this is Nathan Ray Clark from Criminal Minds and Modern Family, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs, hosted by Victor Wembanyama's new best friend, Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with a special guest, Frida. Frida. Look at Frida. Say hello, Frida.
Hello.
Frida is going to join Tom on the Locked On Spurs therapy couch. Tom needs Frida right now because, you know, you have yourself the therapy couch. You got yourself a therapy family member there with Frida.
Little doggy.
Yeah,
did you
doggy, and they sort of elevated it up in the air. But
huge bowling ball of a dog Frida is. But she helps me through these difficult times. I think if she was courtside at an NBA game, she'd probably run on the court and cause a disturbance. It would not be ideal for anybody.
Yeah.
I don't think she can control herself in an environment such as that.
Well, if for those of y'all who do not know, the Locked On Spurs therapy couch is where we give the guest pretty much a therapy couch where they can just vent what's bothering them about the San Antonio Spurs. Because look, I'd rather y'all vent here than go and attack each other on social media or in person at a game. That'd be bad news. So basically, we're going to let Tom just let it out. Just get it off his chest right now. Tom, you're on the therapy couch. What is bothering you the most about your silver and black?
Well, Jeff, it hasn't been the best year.
I should be taking notes like the therapist.
Yeah, I'm gonna lie down. I actually have a couch in my office. I didn't want to move the camera around because it's covered in crap. So and make sure every now and then you ask me, and how does that make you feel? Seriously though, therapy is very good. Go to therapy. It is. But in terms of Spurs therapy, the team itself, I can't wait till he's big enough so I can cross him up and get him a little Tykes hoop. But yeah, the Spurs as a team and Wemby as a player are still in the stumbling infant phase of their journey, and certainly we hoped they'd be further along than that at this point. And it's a bummer, but also one thing that babies do is grow up, and a lot of times it's faster than the parents want to see. It's like, oh my God, just yesterday he was pooping his pants and crying, and now he's just tapping away on that little.
Sounds like what my mom said last night to me.
Yeah, I'm sure you grew up so fast.
Yeah,
we all did.
Yeah. Although maybe I'm a little stunted right now because he was behind me right now. But anyway,
it's okay. I don't think anyone is all the way grown up. Mm-hmm. That's something that I realized when I grew up. Is because when you're a kid, you see adults and you're like, oh, they got it all figured out, man. They're just perfectly in control.
Sure.
And one day when I grow up, I'll be like that too. And then you grow up and you're like, wait a minute,
this sucks.
So that's just how things go. But one thing that has been a little, I don't want to say upsetting, vexing, annoying, irritating. I keep seeing people come from this place of, oh, the team stinks, so they need to do everything they can right away to put Star Town around Victor Wembanyama, or he's going to leave. He's going to leave us. He's going to get sick of losing, and he's going to run away as a free agent or force a trade. And I don't like hearing things that are not real, like I understand the fear. I understand being annoyed that the team is losing. I understand wanting to see the team be better. I understand wanting to accomplish that via trade. I understand wanting to accomplish it via trade immediately. Sure. Yeah. I get that. That's a natural impulse to to have. But what I can't abide is the like, oh, what if he like, guys, that's just not how it works. It doesn't work like that. His rookie contract is for 4 seasons. He is 20 games into the first one.
Right.
After his 3rd season, he'll have an opportunity to sign what will almost certainly be a max rookie extension for 5 years that will kick in after his 4th. That will pay him almost certainly north of $300 million, maybe 350, maybe 400, but I don't know what the salary cap is going to look like then. But if he signs that, then he's a free agent next in 2032, which is like 3 presidential elections from now. And if he doesn't sign that for some reason, one, it would be shocking because the Spurs are the only team that can offer that amount of years. The Spurs are the team that can offer the most money. And if after year 3 he decides, you know what? No, I don't want to sign this massive contract extension.
Right.
Then he becomes a restricted free agent after year 4, which means he can get contract offers from other teams, but it will be for fewer years and for less money than the Spurs are allowed to offer him, because that's how this works. Yeah. The team that drafts a player gets special considerations.
And then barring if he stays in a Texas team, there's no state income tax, so he has to balance that as well.
That's another consideration. Yeah. But even just pure for any NBA team, I mean, if he doesn't sign an extension and then goes into restricted free agency, he will get lower offers from other teams because that's the most they can give him. And then the Spurs will have the right to match any offer and just bring him back. So that's why you don't typically see star players, really don't ever see star players turn down that rookie extension because that's the best deal that they can get.
Right.
And also, 2.5 seasons from now, I'm guessing that the Spurs are going to be winning a lot more basketball games than they are this season.
Knock on wood.
That's just a little prediction. I don't want to go too crazy with it. I don't want to say that they're for sure going to be in the Western
River
Conference
Parade
Finals
downtown. Yeah.
But they're going to be much closer to the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And so, and people say, oh, well, players force their way out all the time. Sure. Yeah, no, I understand that. Guys force their way out of contracts. But all of the recent examples, James Harden got traded by the Thunder for team building reasons, and then he spent 8 years in Houston before he started that part of his career. Anthony Davis was in New Orleans for 7 years. Kawhi Leonard was in San Antonio for 7 years. Damian Lillard didn't run from the grind for 9 years. I asked because I was genuinely curious. Like, is there a superstar player who has left earlier than that? If there is, tell me. Let me know. And somebody said Ben Simmons, and I was like, that's probably the closest. So I guess the thing is that I am that is vexing me most is people being afraid of this monster under the bed of like, what if he leaves?
Right.
That is just not.
Yeah. The worst thing that can really tick you off more is if there's an announcement like, oh, he signed with Clutch. Oh no! Watch out now.
Listen, man. I'm not worried about it. I'm just not. And if he signs with Clutch, then he signs with Clutch. Plenty of people sign with Clutch. As long as there's no uncles involved.
There you go.
I'm cool. Yeah. But even if that happens, that's the kind of stuff that really, there's no precedent for it happening anywhere close to this stage, right? And also, that's just NBA how it works. In this particular situation, Victor Wembanyama is constantly, because he's constantly asked, so he's constantly talking about, I see the long-term vision. I understand what we're building here. I know that what's coming is going to be what's better than what's here now. He does not seem nearly as impatient as some of the people whose passion I love. Yeah. Who, you know,
and let me tell you, it's not bothering him totally like horrifically, because you mentioned to him about he understands what's going on. You know, for those of you who've never been in the locker room post game, win or lose, he's fine. Recently, you know, he hung out with us. He was just telling us words that he's just learning that he never knew existed, like low key. He told us all. He goes, I never heard that word, low key. And, you know, he was talking about sneakers. So if you think it's bothering him, the Spurs are losing, I'm pretty sure as a competitor, yes, he's going to be bothered by that.
For sure. You see the frustration in the loss. He wants to win.
But he moves on
every night. Yeah. But it's not to the point of, oh, let me just blow up everything.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like there's I feel like there's a segment of Spurs fans who just like want this to blow up so badly so that they can be like, see, I told you that they have no idea what they're doing.
All right, so here it is. So how does that make you feel? So, okay, I said it there, but hey, Tom,
right?
We're running out of time here. But go ahead.
It makes me feel tired. I'm tired of talking about that with people.
Yeah,
so I'm not going.
So that's where you have Frida. So you have your therapy dog with you.
Right. It's why I have this. Next time somebody comes at me with that, I'm just gonna link this video and be like, "Yo, never talk to me about this again, please."
Yeah, exactly. He is Tom Petrini with Ken's 5. He is my colleague. Make sure to follow him on X at Real Tom Petrini. By the way, I'm getting better at calling it X. I keep once in a while some slip up say Twitter.
You don't have to. But it's Twitter.
Yeah, it's Twitter. Yeah, to me it'll always be Twitter. But make sure to follow him. He will usually have an article or two throughout the weeks. When it comes to recaps, he's the guy. Trust me, I know how he works. I sit next to him at games. He's laser focused. I don't know how he does it, because recaps are not my cup of tea, but Tom is all about it. And so check out all his recaps, everything he has going at kens5.com/Spurs. Make sure you do that right now. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs on the Kens 5 Plus app, as well as on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. The list goes on and on. Locked On pretty much is dominating YouTube right now. They have the first ever 24/7 streaming sports channel now. It's called Locked On Sports Today. Go subscribe to it right now. It has all the local voices, the national voices, all there, 24/7 every single day. Locked On Sports Today. Make sure you go and subscribe to that right now. So for Tom Petrini and Frida, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.